Hey guys, so I just had a beautiful download that I meant to share right now, and it's about recognizing evil and darkness in the world, which isn't something I ever really wanted to talk about before. There is some truth to focusing on the light, and by doing that, that's the direction you'll go. But it's been a repeated message over and over from, if we don't take time to recognize who and where the enemy is, we have no chance to face it. We need to be able to see it in order to conquer it and defeat it, and be able to notice it, be able to battle it and push it away, because we need to. The devil and darkness show up everywhere in life, and that's what this message is for, and to bring awareness to, because it is everywhere. Satan, evil is everywhere. It's in phone calls we have to have. It's in day-to-day tasks. It's in, I really want to be careful what I say. It's literally everywhere where you feel resistance, but it's so powerful, you guys, to just become conscious of where things are coming from that aren't of love and aren't of light. And so one scenario I can use that's quite common, popular, brought up a lot these days, is in other people and situations. So where you can tell the difference between what is light and what is resistance or darkness is, a lot of the evil in our world comes from ego. And there is a place for ego, and I touched on this before, where the ego protects us, but the ego is still backed by love. When your ego's motivation is love and kindness, it's still rooted in love. When your ego is not rooted in love, it's not coming from inside. It is relying on external validation. It is relying on outer circumstances and things to build people up and to make them feel sure of themselves and confident. And a lot of the time, almost all of the time, that ego-driven nature needs to see others be less than them. So they're looking for validation from another person, another source, another type of energy to build each other up. And it's disgusting. It's gross. It's so gross to think about, because all they're trying to do is build themselves up on this false sense of identification and validation, where they want to see others less than them. They want to see others' downfall. Maybe sometimes they are going to the boss and complaining about other people. They're putting others down to make themselves look big. And maybe in return, that boss thinks that the coworker is beautiful or friendly. So they get some sense of validation where they think, oh, I've got a pretty person on my shoulder. That makes me look good. And then it's sick. They like to see others lower than them, or they try to view other people as somewhat less. And it creates an energy. It definitely creates a dark energy. And to have that energy build and build is just like flooding the room with darkness and ego, madness, whatever you want to call it. But it's not love. When you keep hyping something up that does not have a foundation of love, because a connection like that, there is no love. They're using each other, and using is the most painful. I don't know if any of you have ever felt that, but when you felt used by someone, it is the worst feeling ever. I hope that as a collective, we're getting to a point where we don't let people treat us that way anymore. And as empaths, I really truly believe we're all evolving so much right now, where we're not allowing those situations back into our lives. We're being able to see them for face value, and is another example of evil. Ooh, excuse me. It's like I can feel that cleansing out of me just talking about. There's being, and maybe it's by identifying and us being able to see. This is the whole purpose behind this message, is being able to see these energies for what they are, and not to be tricked or fooled by them, and not to get swept up in that external validation anymore. Because here's the other side of it. When we come from love, when we come from light, when we remind ourselves to go within, to build our inner confidence, to know our inner light, our inner worth. I don't know if you can see that, but the sun is just pouring out from behind the clouds right now. You know, that is true love and true light. When we remind ourselves what we come from and where love is and what love feels like, and we choose to see everyone from that lens of love and light. And that's a big purpose of this too. When we have our love lenses on, we can discern evil, and we don't need to give it any attention. That's the purpose of putting these, to give it any attention. That's the purpose of putting these lenses on, is to see that evil and not give it any attention. Remind ourselves, hey, we are coming from light. I have put so much love into my body and into myself. I'm not going to feed that ego over there, because when you do, when you give it attention, you allow that darkness and that evil to grow. You give it power. You give it like more motivation, because they're getting a reaction out of you. Hold that love back in. Be able to see it. That is the power behind this message, is recognizing evil and recognizing what does not come from love, and honoring ourselves so much that we can put that love into other places where it is genuinely deserved. Maybe it's clients, or like friends, or coworkers, or someone in need, someone who is in their heart, you know, who genuinely is using their free will to take conscious steps in a better direction. Like, they're using their free will to come from love, to have an intention backed conscience, you know, to be doing things that don't further a sense of greed or lack, or you're just able to recognize more clearly. So remember, when we have our love lenses on, that's what I'm going to call this, our love lenses. I like that so much. When we're filled with love and we surround ourselves with things that feel like love, and we remember what that feeling is, and don't give energy to anything that's not. That's how we do our job, if you want to call it light workers, or, you know, bringing God back to earth, or just doing our job to be virtuous. And all religions talk about the same foundational groundwork of building up on virtues and religions. And somewhere along the way, this is just my personal belief, but somewhere along the way we became more focused on which one was right. But if we take a look at all spiritual backgrounds, this is something I found so interesting in university, but everybody's built up on the same 10 commandments, or dharmas, or the 8 principles, or every spiritual backing has the same thing, has the same golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated. act virtuously, act kindly. And I talk about that in my book, meditating on virtues and building confidence that way. Because when we feel genuinely good about who we are on the inside, it radiates on the outside. It is your superpower. And now I have friends that tell me I shouldn't be sharing this information, that it teaches the enemy how to attack me. But no, there's no way. You can't fight light with dark. Like, when you're light, when you're consistently focused on being a better person and building yourself up virtuously and lovingly, and they can try so hard to dim your light, but once you see and you recognize that that's what they're doing, you cut off your focus to that, and it doesn't matter anymore. There is the power, and why it's important to see where darkness is and where it's coming from. Because when we're able to see anything that is not light, anything that is not coming from a pure sense, and we're able to stop giving it attention, we stop giving it our power. And that means not even thinking negatively about it. Getting to a point where you recognize it, you don't even have to think, oh, that's gross. Oh, I disagree with that. Oh, there. You stop judging. You get to a point beyond judgment. You're like, that's what you're doing? I'm gonna stay in my lane. I'm gonna focus on what feels good and right to me. You go and do your things, and you'll see their darkness can't grow when you're not giving it light. They can focus on each other and have that back and forth validation. They'll try. They're still gonna try to get you down, but you can't. They can't once you recognize it for what it is. So I genuinely hope this message finds everyone it's meant to find, and I wish you all a light-filled power retrieval for your best, most benevolent and highest good. So much love and so much light.